गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ईशावास्योपनिषद मंत्र 4। अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो नैनं देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतोऽन्यानत्येति तिष्ठत् तद्धावतोऽन्यान् अत्येति तिष्ठत् तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति। Now, the Upanishad is presenting the Atma Tattva. Atma is Tattva. Tattva means truth. Tattva means the reality. According to some other philosophy, there are many tattva. There is a philosophy called Sankhya. According to Sankhya philosophy, there are 25 tattva. 24 plus 1, 25 tattva. That means there are 25 realities. Each is different from the other. Then there are some other philosophers. According to them, there are 7 tattva. They call them Padartha, the Nayayika. But when you come to Vedanta, how many tattvas are there? Tadeva somyedamagrahati ekameva dvitiyam. There is only one tattva. One without a second. It is the only tattva. Everything else is atattva. Atattva means unreal. From the absolute point of view, it is not real. Only one tattva. And what is that tattva? The tattva is Atma. Atma is tattva. That is why in Vedanta Shastra we repeatedly come across the word Atma Tattvam. Shankaracharya repeatedly uses the word Atma Tattvam. Even here, Atma Tattvam. So, that is Atma Tattva. That Atma Tattva. Atma is Tattva. Anatma is atat. Anything other than Atma is atat. It is not real. So, tat Atma tattva. Now, from this verse onwards, Shruti is describing the Atma tattva. What is that Atma? What is its nature? And while describing the Atma, we should also account for the understanding of an ignorant. How an ignorant one looks upon the Atma. And how it is wrong, how the vision of an ignorant one does not correspond with the truth. And what makes an ignorant person see it that way? The Upanishad has to explain this also. The Upanishad talks about the absolute truth, and in the meantime, the Upanishad describes the mistaken understanding of an ignorant. That is why you see contrasting words in the Upanishad. Like in the following verse, you will find that Ejat, Anejat. It moves and it does not move. We will come to it later on. Now let's start with this word. Anejat. Anejat. It doesn't shake. Ejri company dham. Ejri is a Sanskrit root meaning kampanam, shaking, moving. The word Ejat is derived from ejri company. Ejat means something that moves. Everything in the world moves. The objects around us move. And so is our mind. Even the mind keeps moving. Movement implies change. Every change is a movement in one way or another. Everything is changing. The Atma is the witness of all changes. It is the Sakshi of all changes. Being the Sakshi of all changes, it is free from all change. free from changes, free from transformation, free from modification. Therefore, Anejat, na ejat, Anejat. It is free from movement. Free from movement implies free from modification, free from change. Ekam, another description of Atma. Ekam, one. The word ekam, one, if we use it in our day-to-day language, one is a sankhya, one is a number. When I say number, it is countable. Number is a countable entity. For example, one sun, one moon, one earth. Sun plus moon plus earth. How many? Three. In our general usage, one is countable. Means you can count it against certain other objects. You can count it along with certain other objects. But the Atma Tattva, it transcends all countability. It is Sankhya Ati, transcends countability. If I say one sun, one moon, one Atma, one sun, one moon, one Atma, what does the person understand? Just like the sun and moon, there is another object, another limited object with a parallel existence called Atma. Just like the sun and moon are limited and countable, even the Atma becomes limited and countable. But later on, the Upanishad clarifies the Atma is free from all limitation. It is infinite. The infinite transcends all countability. How many infinites are there? You can't say one infinite, two infinite. If you say one infinite, it is a contradiction in law. One is finite, one infinite. It is not possible. Therefore, when the Shruti uses the word ekam to refer to the Atma Tattva, we should not understand it like one sun, one moon, ekah suryah, ekah chandrah. Similarly, ekah atma, it is not. It is not one as a number. It is not a countable one. It is something different. It is ekameva advitiyam, one without a second. Ekam eva advitiyam. There is no second. There is no parallel object. There is no parallel reality. Therefore, the one is not countable. It is not a countable one. Count is possible only when there are more than one thing. Countability is possible only in finite objects. This is ekameva advitiyam. Therefore, it is sankhya adhita. It transcends number. Therefore, this ekam should be understood properly. It is not like one sun, one moon, and one Atma. It is not one object with the exclusion of the other. Instead, it is the one and only Tattva. One and only substance. Ekam. And since it is ekam, it is Anejat. Ekatva serves as a hetu for Anejat. Eka implies it is infinite. Ekameva advitiyam. If it is infinite, it cannot have any movement. All movements are possible in finite. In the infinite, there is no movement. Manaso javiyaha. It is faster than the mind. Manasaha javiyaha. Javiyaha means faster. It is faster than the mind. Just now, the Shruti said, it is Anejat. It doesn't move. Now, the same Upanishad, same mantra says, it is faster than the mind. How to understand this? As though faster than me. not really fast, as though fast. Most often, the Upanishad uses figurative expression. The mind cannot catch the Atma. If something goes faster than you cannot catch it. You cannot grasp it. Therefore, Manas, if Manas is not able to grasp the Atma, then it is faster than the mind. So, Manaso Javiyaha implies the mind is not capable of grasping the Atma. The mind is not capable of objectifying the Atma. The Manas cannot objectify the Atma. We understand many things with our mind. In fact, everything that we understand is understood through our mind. Mind is the only instrument for understanding. We cannot understand anything without mind. If you shut your mind, you cannot understand it. Mind is manaha, antahkaranam is the only instrument available for understanding. The world keeps presenting so many things to us, so many new things. And we understand all of them through our mind. And how do we understand? We visualize. When we hear something, we visualize. We imagine. We objectify. That is how all the understandings happen. We understand various objects as objects. We objectify various things through our mind. But then there is something which cannot be objectified. It is Atman. Atma cannot be objectified because it is the very illuminer of the mind. The mind is the object of the Atma. Therefore, the mind cannot objectify the Atma. Therefore, manaso javiyaha. That is why we cannot expect to visualize the Atma. We try to visualize the Atma, especially during meditation. Many people try to visualize the Atma. Atma cannot be visualized. If you start visualizing something, it is not Atma. What can you visualize? You can visualize. At the maximum, you can visualize space, empty space. But empty space is space. It is not Atma. Visualization is not possible because it is the illuminer of all that you visualize. It is the witness of everything that you visualize, and it is the witness of the visualization itself. Therefore, it cannot be visualized. Therefore, visualization is ruled out. Can I experience the Atma? We experience many things through our mind. The mind experiences many things. Pleasure, pain, so many emotions. We cannot visualize the emotion like the sorrow. The emotions are not visualized, but they are experienced by them. Likewise, can we experience the Atma? You cannot even experience. Because if our mind experiences something, that means it is the object of it. The Atma is not available to the experience of the mind. Therefore, do not expect to experience the Atma at any scale. There is nothing called Atma experience. Everything that you experience has to be anatma. Because what you experience has to be other than yourself. You experience the book. You experience a sweet. You experience an event. You experience a place. You can experience so many. But all that you experience is other than you. Anat. The Atma is not experienced. It doesn't become object of it. Instead, it is the very truth, very essence of the experience too. Therefore, manaso javiyaha. Naina deva atmavan kovamarashatu. devaha enat na apnuvan. The devatas could not find it. Urvamarashat, because it ran faster than the devata. The devatas could not find it because it ran faster than the devatas. Devah, it ran faster than the devah. It sounds as though the Upanishad is talking about some incident that happened in the Swarga. But Shankaracharya has a different explanation. In this mantra, Devaha means Indriyani, the senses. In Veda, the word Devaha is used in many senses. And one of the senses is Indriyani. Indriyas are called Deva. Dyotanat Deva. The Indriyas are effulgent. They are capable of knowing various things. That is why they are called Deva. Devaha enanna apnuvan. The Indriyas could not find the Atma Tattva because Purvamarashat, it transcended the Indriya. It transcends the Indriya. Why does it transcend the Indriya? There are two reasons. Number one, the Atma is Nirguna. Nirgunatva. The Indriyas can perceive the objects that have guna, one or another attribute. Our eyes can see objects that have color. Eyes are devised to see color. If something doesn't have any color, the eyes cannot see. Color or form, whatever. Color and form. Roop. If it doesn't have roop, the eyes cannot see. For example, sound. Eyes cannot see sound. Why? Sound doesn't have a roop. Likewise, the ears. The ears can hear only sound. His scope is still restricted. Only sound. Shabda. Likewise, all other indriyas. We have pranendriya. It can sense only smell. If something doesn't have a smell, even if it comes in front of your nose, you cannot smell it. Rasanendriya, sense of taste. It can have only taste, nothing else. and the Sparshindriya, Tvagindriya. They can sense only touch, nothing else. So the five senses, they are devised to perceive only certain types of attribute and substances with certain attributes. If you think about the ability of the senses, their domain is very much restricted. The domain of the senses is very much restricted. Therefore, what we perceive through our senses is a very minute fraction of the universe. We often think that we are perceiving everything. We are perceiving the whole universe. But it is not. What we perceive is a very minute fraction of the universe. There are so many things that we do not see at all. There are so many amoebas and bacteria around us. So many viruses around us. Do we see them? There are so many atoms and molecules around us. Do we see them? So we don't see everything. We see very limited things. So many things are beyond the domain of our senses. But it doesn't mean they don't exist. Definitely they exist. And to some extent, the modern science helps us in knowing their existence. The science has told us that there is something called virus. That is why we know the presence of virus. But then, if you consider the science, what is science? Science is nothing other than an extension of yourself. Our naked eyes cannot see certain things. You extend our naked. You add on something to the eye. A microscope or a telescope. What does a microscope or a telescope do? It is not another sense altogether. It is just an extension of your eyesight. What you are using ultimately is nothing but your eye. So the science has devised certain equipments that enable to extend the ability of yourself. Therefore, even the science domain works in the domain of your five senses. But then there are certain things that are beyond the domain of science also. We cannot rule out the possibility of their existence. Even the science doesn't rule out the possibility of their existence. Therefore, it is beyond science. Naina deva apnuan purvamarshatu. It is beyond our naked five senses and it is beyond even the extended five senses. Means it transcends the domain of the science also. Therefore, do not think of arriving at the Atma with the help of science. The science doesn't rule out the presence of Atma. In the meantime, the science cannot detect the presence. Therefore, the Vedanta, you can't say it is unscientific. What is unscientific? If the science rules out something, then it is unscientific. Science cannot rule out the presence of Atma. Just because the science cannot find Atma, it doesn't mean Atma is not. Meanwhile, it is not scientific as scientific in the sense it's found only through science. If Atma is found through science, then we don't need Vedanta. It's not found by science. Because our five senses are devised to know the gunas, things with attributes. And the Atma is free from guna, nirguna. So nirgunatva, indriya agochana. Since Atma is nirguna, it is not available to the sense. It is one reason. There is another reason also why the Indriyas cannot objectify the Atma. Because Atma is the illuminer or the sense. See, this table is seen with my eyes. Who sees the eyes? Atma. Atma sees the eyes. Eyes are just an instrument for the Atma to see the table. The eyes themselves cannot see really. Eyes are just instruments. The real seer, the sakshi, the consciousness is Atma. So Atma is the witness of the sense. Therefore the senses cannot see the Atma. It is another reason why the Atma is not available to the sense. Indriyanam api atmatva sakshitva indriyanam agochara. Since Atma is the sakshi of the indriya, Atma is not available to the sense. Therefore, naina deva apnuvan purvamarshatu. Tadbhavatah anyan atyeti tishtat. Tat tishtat. Tishtat. standing, it remains standing. Remains standing means it doesn't have any movement. Despite having no movement, it seems to have movement. Despite having no movement, the Atma seems to have movement. Therefore, the Shruti says, Tadbhavatah anyan atyeti. It overtakes everything else that runs. Dhavatah anya. Everything else that runs. Atyeti. It overtakes, defeats. If you conduct a race, competition, Atma is participating, the Indriyas are participating, mind is participating, then the Atma overtakes the senses, mind, etc. This is another image of it. Implying that the Atma seems to have movement, despite not having. Now, despite having no movement, despite being free from all movement, it seems to have movement. Now, who sees the movement of and who understands the Atma is free from movement? The Ajnani, the ignorant one, sees the movement of the Atma. Whereas, when you understand the truth of the Atma, you know that it is free from movement. It is free from movement. No, we have to account for the experience of an Ajnana. If the Atma doesn't have any movement, then what makes an Ajnani think that the Atma has movement? It has to be explained. Because only then the teaching becomes complete. The teaching becomes complete only when you explain the experience of an ignorant. It is true in every other field of knowledge also. Suppose in the case of science, the earth is round, globe, and we didn't know this for a long time. Until some astronomers told us. In India, they knew much before, but the Western world didn't know this until Copernicus found out that the earth is not flat, it is globe. In India, it was known much before. I don't know when they exactly got to know, Aryabhata or one before. But in the West, it was found out only in 14th or 15th century. I don't know the date of copper makers, you can find out. Until then, everybody was thinking the earth is flat. Now the earth is flat and the earth is globe. Earth is globe, earth is flat. One can write a song, just like Ishavasyopanishad. Earth is globe, earth is flat. Both are correct from two different perspectives. One is the perspective of an ignorant person who doesn't know science. And another is the perspective of a scientist who knows the true shape of the earth. If the earth is really globe, then what makes this person think that the earth is flat? You have to explain. If you are teaching that ignorant child, earth is globe, earth is round, he will ask, but then I see the earth as flat. You have to explain. Since it is too big, you see only a small surface, only a small area of the surface. It appears to be flat. You can give the example of a football. Take a football and throw. See, the football is round. But if you see a small patch of the football, it seems flat. Likewise, around us, we see a small portion of the surface of the earth. That is why it looks flat. But if we go above, a few kilometers above the earth, and see from there, we have a different perspective. Likewise, an ajnani thinks the Atma has movement. It moves very fast. So how do you account for the experience of an ajnani? In the Vedanta Shastra, they have accounted for. There are various prakriyas. Prakriya means a methodology of explaining the experience of an ignorant. So there are various prakriyas. And in the prakriya, they give two types of examples. One is the enclosure example. Avacheda drishtani. Example of enclosure. The space enclosed by pond. Ghata avachinna akash. It is one example. Likewise, the Atma seems to be confined to this body. The Atma seems to be confined to this. When the pot moves, we think the pot space also moves. Likewise, there is the body, and then there is the Atma confined to the body. Therefore, when the body moves, even the Atma seems to be moved. Therefore, an Ajnani thinks the Atma is moving. Because the Ajnani identifies the Atma with the body. This is one example. Then there is another example, the example of Pratibimba, reflection. The moon reflects on what? You can keep a vessel of water, and the moon reflects on it. Now, when you see the reflected moon, the attributes of the water seem to be the attributes of the moon itself. If the water is muddy, the moon seems to be muddy. If the water is turbulent, shaky, even the moon seems to be shaky. And you move the water, the moon also seems to be. Likewise, the Atma reflects in the body, mind, senses. There is Pratibimba. The Atma reflects. And therefore, the attributes of the body, mind, and senses seem to be the attributes of the Atma. It is another way of explaining this phenomenon. The perception of an Ajnani. So it seems to have movements, implying that it seems to have various forms of changes, various forms of modifications. Because of the modifications of the body and because of the modifications of the mind, the Atma also seems to have modifications, changes, etc. But in reality, the Atma is free from changes. Tishtat, Anejat, Tishtat means free from movements, free from changes, free from modification. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.